Welcome to the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Welcome to ITSPmagazine. You're listening to a new Redefining Security podcast. Have you ever thought that we are selling cybersecurity insincerely, buying it indiscriminately, and deploying it ineffectively? Perhaps we are. So let's look at how we can organize a successful InfoSec program that integrates people, process, technology, and culture to drive growth and protect business value. Knowledge is power, now more than ever.
Imperva is the cybersecurity leader whose mission is to protect data and all paths to it with a suite of integrated application and data security solutions. Learn more at imperva.com.
Asgardio by WSO2 is a developer-focused identity and access management solution. Offered as Identity as a Service, or IDaaS, Asgardio by WSO2 creates seamless login experiences to your apps in minutes.
Hello, you're very welcome to a new episode of Redefining Cybersecurity here on ITSP Magazine. This is Sean Martin, your host, and I have to say I have probably the coolest job in InfoSec, talking to some amazing people doing amazing things, and today is no different. We're going to look at a particular role, more specifically a data engineer with a view into cybersecurity as well. And my guest today, Saman Fatima. Thank you, Saman, for joining.
Thank you so much for having me today, Sean. Really glad that I could come here and have a conversation with you.
I'm super excited about this, and your profile crossed my view through the work that Carmen Marsh is doing with Cybersecurity Women of the Year, and you've been nominated. And I saw that you're a data engineer, and I thought, this is a cool role, a cybersecurity slant on top of that. I want to hear what Saman is doing and what she's up to and how she combines those two things. Before we dig in, though, I have to say the list of groups that you're involved with is really impressive. And clearly you love to give back to the community. And I actually want to give you some space to do that. As you lead into the groups you're part of, perhaps maybe a quick word about who you are and your journey into your current role as a data engineer.
So, hi everyone. My name is Saman Fatima, and I am actually sitting down here and doing this conversation with Sean from India. And I work as a data engineer now with a Sydney-based investment bank, that is Macquarie Group, here in Gurugram. And that's my full-time job since a year and a half now. But I did my graduation in 2017, and post that I've been part of this industry. I started up with identity and access management, and I continue to work on the Gartner's tool, that is SailPoint, till 4 years. And after 4 years, I thought I just should add a flavor to my resume, to my career graph. And fortunately, I got this offer inside my organization only as part of an internal mobility. And I readily looked up, like, what is the role about? What are we actually working on? And the one thing that really crossed my path was creating a data-driven organization. That's the main mission of my team. And that's something was really fascinating me, that I have worked with data, but now I will work on data. Like, that's something I will analyze. I will do all types of work on it and then send it across to the further reportees or functions. And that's something that's my full-time job as a data engineer from a DevOps engineer. So I've just reversed my role as a data engineer and work on data. But apart from that, I can't leave my roots with cybersecurity. I am a full-time passionate enthusiast for cybersecurity. I do not hold a degree or a certificate or anything of that sort, but that's something that really fascinated me in the last year of my undergrad, where I was introduced to a couple of subjects. And that really, drew my attention that, okay, this is that, this is breach, this is cryptography, and what all. But that was just done in a very small room and in just one semester, and one couldn't learn much about it. So when I was exposed to identity and access management, I drilled down and I knew all other 8 domains. And then I came across a lot of communities in picture. And to be honest, there are many communities which really help you here. Being a novice, you actually can learn a lot from the people in the industry, and being part of communities which really offer you a platform in the form of events, conferences, trainings, or get you that exposure. So that's why you see a long list of communities under my name. And I just, if I had to talk about all of them, the one point of commonality between all of them is they are women-based communities. um, and a lot of them are women-based communities. Few of them are diverse communities which have men, women, and other genders as well. And but the one thing that I'm really passionate about is growing with all these people, either a beginner or a middle level person in their job, or even a C level executive. So learning from all of them. So I am the management lead and vice chair of board for BBWIC Foundation. That's the foundation we started up with in January 2021, and now it's a non-profit and won a VIA award for the best non-profit organization. So that's the organization that really envisions leaders, and they help women in their mid-career, senior career, or transitioning career or beginner career to go ahead into cybersecurity. Everyone knows here about OWASP, and we are part of different chapters, different locations, and different other groups as well. So I'll not talk much about OWASP. That's all well said about it, and everybody would know about it, because whoever starts with cybersecurity, they start up with the top 10 OWASP and know more about all those things. So that I'll not cover about. And I'm also part of Women in Cybersecurity, the global channel. And I started up with the India affiliate. I am the member of India affiliate, and Women in Cybersecurity has given me grounds for a lot of things. Being part of career fairs, I am actually part of the mentorship program, being a mentor and mentee at the same time, to actually learn under a leader. And actually, I have 5 university folks under me who I give training and help, and what all things I have learned from my experience, I actually tell them and help them. And a lot of them have actually cracked jobs, did a lot of cyber security certifications. So a lot has actually come into picture. And I am the ambassador for Sneak as well. So Sneak has started this program of ambassadors where they would like to make them expose to the projects of Sneak, and also want us to actually have things showcase for Sneak, learn it, and then put it forward in front of the community so that everyone knows about it. To be honest, it's not something which every organization does, to let any external person in and know about all those tools and processes and let them have a viewpoint of that. And I am a volunteer instructor at Cyber Preserve community as well. That's a community founded by Astha Sani, and she envisions to have everyone that beginner level of cyber knowledge. And I, being part there, did a lot of sessions for few candidates on identity and access management, making them understand that particular domain. So I know I spoke a lot, but these communities have a lot actually to talk about, but it's just in a limited way how I have just consolidated. But they're like amazing communities, and there are others as well which are there in the picture as well, having different visions, missions. I would love to explore them as well, but yeah, for now, these were the main highlights of what all I've been doing with the communities.
And a great list there, many of which we are already familiar with, and we learned of a couple more through you, which I really appreciate. Specifically BBWIC, which is Breaking Barriers Women in Cybersecurity. a lot of great work being done with that. And of course, we're going to put links in the show notes to all of these organizations that you have highlighted here. What I want to do is kind of switch over to the work that you're doing. So you talked about identity and access management. You talk about cybersecurity, which AppSec, obviously part of OWASP, having that view, and clearly looking at data. Now, as a data engineer, those three things combined probably gives you an interesting perspective for how you do your work as a data engineer. And maybe if I could ask this question to start, what is the role of a data engineer? Because you described a data-enabled business.
So see, I have been coming down from a background of being a DevOps engineer, working solely on identity and their accesses and how it should be maintained and everything. Being exposed to data like a year back, that was something really, new for me. That was a newer experience with newer tools and everything. So I pretty much started as being a, data analyst, working on the dashboards and how actually you visualize data statistically and what sort of look and feel should come as per the customer requirements, what that dashboard should look like. So that was the first thing.
I'm gonna pause you. Sorry, can you describe who the customer is of that data, and kind of
okay.
Don't share too many secrets, but where is the data coming from? What things are you trying to identify or explore or present as a story? Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so when I just say about data, that could be any source of data. So that could be your HR data that you want to visualize it in a way, or it could be rather identity data that, you want to have the historical nature of the identities put across in that dashboard. So your sources could differ in that way, but how you want to look and feel and how the data should look like, process like, or run like is actually something. So, the customers require that, okay, this is a set of data. This is the HR data. We have zillion columns, zillion rows, and we want to just see it as this. So these are the vague requirements which come, or maybe when there are better requirements like structured requirements when it comes like, these are the number of levers we have in our organization, those who have, left the organization for this reason, that reason, and we just want to visualize that on a dashboard. So this is the form of data that we get across, and the sources may change as per the customer, as per the requirement. That's the thing. And I should not say customer, but basically business requirements. How does it comes from what all businesses? So, that is the end result when you want to see that data in that form. But when we talk about an engineer, what a data engineer actually does is there could be a lot of custom requirements which comes down. Like, for example, if we just have the HR data as our source, what we see at the dashboard end is something at the very end that, everything happened swiftly and you are able to see that data. But what happens in between is something that the data engineer takes care of and then hands it over to the team who can just visualize it, create those dashboards, assemble it likewise as the business requires. So, as my day-to-day job is there, I am exposed to a lot of tools and a lot of data tools, and there's no end to that. And every day there's some other new tool coming. So the entire Hadoop suite is something that we use. And that's, I guess, every data person would know more about that the Hadoop environment where you actually run your queries and everything, either in Impala or in Hive, you use that and you create your data sets. So data sets are nothing but what data you want to use for should be actually created in a data set, which may be even done on a tool given by your organization or any public tools as well, where you want to create that data. Like, if you want just, you got a data of 100 and you just want to test everything on the 50 rows. So just you create that data set, feed it across, and then, create those pipelines. So when we talk here about the pipelines, we're actually talking about how you're actually ingesting that data, and when you ingest that data into the pipeline, how it should come out as. And there are also, requirements as that we want this dashboard to be refreshed, like it should pick up refreshed data 3 times a day or 4 times a day at this particular time zone. We want this done to be at the Sydney time zone or US time zone or maybe Europe time zone. So all these types of things, you then just put it across in your code files at the back end, that the data should run at these hours, morning, evening, afternoon, night, whatever. So all that things goes into picture, and then you query a lot of data. You take the dump of that data and see what is the result for it, what actually you're seeing across, and what the business has actually required you to see. If they want to see an apple, that should come at the end and not anything else. So you have to assemble your data, ingest it, and then transform it in a way that it comes down to the dashboard in that ways. So that's my full-time job. And that took me a lot of time to actually learn all of these things and see how that visualization, ingestion, transformation actually happens. And you see those dashboards being successfully run businesses, and you are extracting data at regular intervals. So that's how the transformation of me as a DevOps engineer to a data engineer took place, and it's been going good so far. Like, I'm enjoying working on data.
That's a really cool role. I have the pleasure of teaching some students security analytics as part of a course that they're part of their MBA that they're doing. And anytime I can help describe how to tell a story with data, and obviously I'm looking at it from a security perspective, it's super fun. So I really enjoy that. So mentioning cybersecurity, and I don't know what's the connection to your work, and is there anything specific around the IAM space, the identity part, that you bring with you? How do you, or do you even help define or describe what's possible by having access to the data? And perhaps when you create the stories, do you leverage your security background to say only this data should be showed for these roles and that type of thing?
So when we come down to the cyber end, and obviously we are playing with data, and we're playing with data of the organization that may have a lot of information, red information, and how do we want to scrutinize it or protect it? So the first and foremost thing is what we have done. Being part of data, it's always said that whenever you are actually ingesting data into the pipeline, you're using some data, there has to be some security assessments in place. And by security assessments, what I broadly mean is, if your data, whatever data you are using across, has to go, like has a lot of data that has to undergo pen testing, or has a lot of data which has to go across vulnerability testing, and you're using certain data, or the data plus when you feed it across your scripts, any language that you use, any scripts that you use, any executable files that you use for it to run it, or anything of that sort, that has to go through all those tests. So as part of my team as well, we also do all those tests. So once those scripts are set up, those executable files are there in place, that data is there, we just have to do those security assessments as well. And that goes to a specific team who does all those tests for us as a third team. And it's their reports that they created, that this is the data, and they have columns there for this data is high, medium, low, and it's either red, amber, or green, what all sorts of they give out in their report. And at last we get to know, okay, this is this can be taken forward. It has passed the security assessment. So all those tests are also part of that, and we get results for it. Like, for example, I can just give you a very short example that, as part of your entire process, if you're using a specific tool, and you list it down in your request, and then the team just gets back to you saying the tool that you're using is an older version, and we would want you to upgrade to a higher version, and then do all of your tests again and share everything again here as part of the request. So that's how we actually plug down that, okay, we're using an older version, and then we have to upgrade ourselves, do the test again. With every higher version, there are a lot of other features, and the UI and everything changes. So that's the thing we do end to end, that we do not send the data as it is, but the entire pipeline. Every time you change your codes, pipeline, executable files, that has to be done in this way. And that, I suppose, is a very good way. That something is a process that should be there intact when you are using data, when you're ingesting that data. And that's how you should end to end test everything, that nothing is red here, everything goes green and thumbs up here. Answering to your second question, that is identity and access management, and how I link it up and how much of that experience actually works up here with my current role, is as a DevOps engineer, as I mentioned, I was working on Gartner's tool, that is SailPoint, and that is a very, very famous tool when we come across identity and access management. That's, the tool which offers you maximum functionalities. And I have worked on many, many versions of SailPoint, actually. I've seen an older version as well to the current version, where things have dynamically changed. Like, they have progressed really, really well. And a lot of things which were really fussy in the older versions, they were really, really great in the newer versions. So when I talk about SailPoint, when I talk about identity and access management, we're actually dealing up with that data of identity and their accesses. And when I talk about identity and access, it's what, like, someone should just have access on to, she should just have read access to all those documents. But Sean, on the other hand, will have read, write, and executable accesses. So it sounds really basic here, but when you have a whole lot of organizational data, and when you have to see that, okay, someone has now resigned and her read access should be revoked. So there comes the issue of the deprovisioning is something that we're still, considering as a challenge. That, if a starter has come, worked for a lot of years, then left the organization, but their accesses do remain into the system for a longer period of time, and they could actually take advantage of that. So deprovisioning is one of the hanging end on that side. And I bring a lot of experience on the table for the data end as well, because, when you have the source as SailPoint, you actually need to know a lot about the tool. So that was the plus point for me when the source was what I did work on for the past 4 years. So that's something I know the tool in and out. I know the functionalities. I know how things look on the other side and how you have to make it look on the data end as well when you create those pipelines. So that was the thing that I carried on from myself, from my older experience. And the data and everything is what I was exposed to, like brand new. And how did I bring up SailPoint as a source, and then learned everything forward with everything, from cyber to tests to data ingestion, transformation, and then how you visualize that data. So that's the full package of, having your IAM thing and then the data thing merged together and working on that.
Yeah, I love that. And let's talk about kind of the differences between teams. And I don't know if there are any, but for your DevOps role, for example, I don't know if that was a role building applications for use internal for the organization or for external customers. I'll say a proper DevOps role is the outcome is an application, I presume, or some system, versus a data engineer role, which is some visualization of the data, which is presented probably through some interface. I don't know if you create the interface as well, or if it's through a standard interface that you're visualizing through, or some plugins. What I guess what I'm trying to understand is, when an organization looks at those two different roles, does one have a higher level of scrutiny in terms of, these are great engineering practices, not DevOps or data engineer, just engineering practices, and these are the best cybersecurity practices, and these are the best performance practices, and whatnot? So my sense is maybe a DevOps team building an application might have a little more with it. With scrutiny comes support, maybe, or support comes scrutiny, versus a data engineer, which maybe you're a little more free to do some things without that level of formality. I don't know if that's correct or not, but what are you seeing in terms of those differences?
So I'll talk about the DevOps role first, because there I've spent the maximum number of years when I take up my entire experience. So that is, I would say, more crucial, because when we talk about an organization and when we talk about your role, if you're into that DevOps role and if you're into identity and access management, I'm not talking about any other domain, but just restricted to identity and access management, that you're actually dealing directly with your identities, the organization's identities and their accesses. So they would have access to a server room, or they would have access to a critical, piece of a thing, or an environment, or a developer-based environment, the production environment, where actually the code files are there, and if you just delete it, drop it, anything, you're all gone. So, that is a very, very crucial part when you work as a developer on that end, when you have all sorts of privileged accesses. So that is one thing that is to be counted on. And as a DevOps role, obviously, you just interchangeably, one for a while you work as a developer, then for a while you work as an operational person, when you operationalize the business and what all things have been actually ingested, and how you maintain those fixes, bugs, and everything of that sort. So I have played the role on both the ends. I have actually developed few snippets of code, pushed it, tested everything, then pushed it across into the production, and seen a lot of things. Yes, there have been moments when, my tests have failed miserably in the production. Less they were working really fine in the lower environments, but God forbid what happened. But yes, that is something, when you have pushed something into the production and they just start misbehaving, that's where the ops people and the team come into picture, that they have to fix those bugs, they have to operationalize everything. That, if since yesterday you did just see an apple, how did two apples come on the screen? So it should not behave like that. So if that's not the normal behavior, if an identity had two accesses in the organization and just one day they just lost those two access without any notice, without anything, and they're not able to enter into the premises. So that's something you have to look across, what just changed in few hours or few days. So that's really critical when you just think about it and be in that shoes, that, you have to develop those things to work properly. And then if it goes off the lane, how you identify it, how is your response time towards it, and how do you just, resolve it. So that's in totality, I would put as first. For data, I think I am too new to comment much on it, because it's been just a year. But yes, I would also say that when you take a source and you want to have that same source in your data hub as well. So, if your source is having 1,000 records, your side should also have 1,000 records, what you ingest, transform, and what you see it on the dashboard. So if a person is just using the Power BI and, launching those dashboards and everything, so they should see those tally, that if there's 1,000 at the source end where we've picked that data, it should see up here as well. But it goes through a lot of tests on that end as well. But in terms of criticality and in terms of the crucial data that is exposed to, I would still prefer identity and access management on that end. DevOps role is more crucial when you launch a lot of processes and everything, and you see a lot of discrepancies in identities, and the same discrepancies which you see may happen at the data end as well. So I would weigh that, like, DevOps role is more crucial because we're directly dealing up with identities and their accesses.
When granted access to a data source, are you granted access as an individual or as an entity that you're acting through as the individual?
Okay. Like, what I've usually seen so far in my career is that we get access as a group. So we're part of one group, and your team members are under that group, and that group gets that access. So what we call in the SailPoint language is a bundle. That's the technological term from the tool. That means when you want to give maximum people the same access, so you bundle them together and you just give that bundle the access. So if I want to give that bundle read access, so if you, me, two, three more folks are part of that bundle, we could get that access together. So it could be read access, write access, or directly admin level access, that they could do anything with that data. Or it's also done individual, like at user level as well, that this particular user is fairly new to the process, so they should only see or have read level access, and they should not be able to execute anything or deploy anything into the environment. They can just visualize it. So yeah, so it's basically done at the group level, and I agree, if you're part of that group directly, you can get access to the group, and you'll get directly those access. If not, you can individually get read, write, or executable access.
And is that granted to the source directly or through some abstraction layer, or does it say this group can access that data with read-only writes via only this API through this machine, or what does that look like?
Okay, so from the source, it's just we take the data. But when we talk about permissions, and if you want to give extra grants to somebody else or directly to a group, so what we actually do is, and what I've heard from a lot of folks into data as well, that you create an environment similar to it and get those accesses all replicated on that end, so that you're actually not disturbing the source. You're not actually playing up with the source. You've just duplicated that in your data environment, not in the source environment, but your data environment has the same replicas of data in the form of tables, and you directly copy the database to your replica environment, that is your data environment. But you do not touch the source. You're not playing anything across with the source. You just get the dump of data and have it here, and then play across with that data. And obviously, that goes without saying that if the source data is getting refreshed thrice a day, your data should also get refreshed thrice a day, so that you maintain that sync.
So many things here to explore, I'm sure. What I'd like to do is, we're coming up close to the time. Clearly, you're involved with, and we've listed a few groups that perhaps data engineers or others might be interested in exploring, OWASP and WSIS and others. Beyond the groups, specifically speaking to data engineers now, what's one or two things that you would suggest they do to get a flair of cybersecurity as part of their data engineering role? What should they look at for? Obviously, you have a lot of background in IAM, but what areas should they look at?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you're entirely very new into data, I would not say that you have to be really an expert or anything. I wasn't. I was like zero when I started up with data year back. But I would tell you my experience, what really worked for me, and how did I have my foot across in this area. Uh, so the first and foremost thing is whatever language you are working on. Like for example, in my organization, I work on Python, and getting used to those libraries, getting used to those versions and everything, and playing across with that data, and then creating small snippets using those libraries and everything. That's very important. And knowing that language, because being a data engineer, you have to actually play across with code as well, and you have to, actually, I would say, uh, dirty your hands and play across with all those things via codes as well, creating those things, because you have to ingest that data, and then that is the thing. Nevertheless, if you want to become a data analyst as well, you have to have control over a lot of tools, like visualization tools like Power BI and Alteryx and all those things, and know in and out about them and how you can connect them with the source. So your source may vary, whatever source you are connecting up with, and how you want to visualize that data. So that basic is very, very important. And also, when we talk about data engineering and then having that intersection of cybersecurity, uh, what all terms that I did mention, that, during security assessments, there's vulnerability test, pen test, and identity checks and everything. So knowing the basics of it, what may go wrong if there comes something regarding that, those reports become red, how is it affecting your data? So knowing those criticalities is also important, but knowing nothing is something really dangerous, I would say. So, there are a lot of courses on a lot of platforms actually on data engineering and how does it affect us and everything of that sort, involving a lot of other ailments as well, regarding data, sorry, elements as well regarding to data. And probably going through that and understanding that will actually let you know that, we actually play across with a lot of data in our daily lives, and how do we use it, analyze it, and implement it at different areas, is something you have to understand. So it's just the data. Maybe if I just give you an example, is the social media data, that the social media that you traverse across every day, it generates tons and tons of data. So, you have a lot of data across you. How you want to structure it is something that we do as part of data engineering. And yes, cyber can never leave any area, because that's very important. Where comes data? Where comes your organization's red data? There you are. Like, you're like clean bolt, because anything happens, any low hanging end there, and it's just, you lose a lot of data to an external entity. So understanding the basics across the things are very, very important.
I'm thrilled to have had this conversation with you. And what I think my main takeaway here is that you are, I don't know if I can make a fun CI/CD or CD/CI or whatever joke, but you're constantly learning and breaking barriers. So see, constant learning, constant breaking. And I know that's one of the organizations you're part of as well. But I think the main thing is you've not stopped. You've looked at DevOps, you looked at cybersecurity, you looked at data engineering. You're bringing those together. I'm excited to see what barrier comes next that you're going to crash through and take to the next level. And hopefully other data engineers listening can be inspired and take to heart the cybersecurity advice that you're providing. And of course, there are groups that you're going to share. And I know you mentioned some courses. Maybe there's one that stands out that you can send us, so we can include a link to that as well.
Sure.
It's all about helping each other learn and break through our own barriers, and hopefully in the process redefine cybersecurity as well. So, Saman, it's a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Sean, for having me. Really a great time with you.
Asgardio by WSO2 is a developer-focused identity and access management solution. Offered as Identity as a Service, or IDaaS, Asgardio by WSO2 creates seamless login experiences to your apps in minutes.
Imperva is the cybersecurity leader whose mission is to protect data and all paths to it with a suite of integrated application and data security solutions. Learn more at imperva.com.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Redefining Security podcast. If you learned something new and this podcast made you think, then share ITSPmagazine.com with your friends, family, and colleagues. If you represent a company and wish to associate your brand with our conversations, sponsor one or more of our podcast channels. We hope you will come back for more stories and follow us on our journey. You can always find us at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society.